to Danica Traffic in 14th starting position, and her 18 male rivals. I say good luck and start your engine.
Welcome to Richmond International Raceway. We're cranking the engines early because we have threatening weather in the area. But get ready for 250 laps on this 3/4 mile bull ring. And we welcome you to the Richmond SunTrust Indy Challenge presented by XM Satellite Radio as we get ready for Firestone Race Day. It's race number 7 of 14. That's right, the midway point of the 2006 campaign. Let's get you caught up on the latest stories. Let's check in first with Dr. Jerry Punch.
Marty, this night's about bullet-fast Indy cars on a bull ring in Richmond, Virginia. A short track where short tempers can lead to a short night. To finish here, you got to survive 250 laps without being pushed or shoved into that wall. To win it here, you got to overcome the guys who won it here a year ago and have won 4 times this year. Yeah, I'm talking about the boys of Marlboro Team Penske. Jamie?
Well, Dr. Punch, that driver was Elio Castroneves. He dominated here 1 year ago, led 112 laps, and of course went on to climb the fence for his celebration. Now, he's been the man to beat. He has 3 wins this season already, and tonight he starts on the pole for the 3rd time. Now, let's check in with Jack Arute, who's with one team that wants to stop all this fence climbing action.
Jack? The only team that has ever won in 2005 besides Team Penske. But for this team and for Dan Weldon, they dodged a major bullet in final practice just before they cranked the car up. They realized that the engine had an oiling issue. They've changed engines, but guys, with the weather the way it is tonight, Dan Weldon just told me he doesn't intend to plan on 250 laps. He's going to lap 126.
Thank you, Jack. 126. That means 1 past halfway, which would make the race official. Hopefully, we're going to get all 250 in. We've got to take one quick break, then we go green. Just as we come back, we go green in the SunTrust Indy Challenge. That was Elio Castroneves out to the early lead. That's how fast we're going to turn laps here in about 17 seconds with full tanks.
And 1 car on the move right now, the green and white car, the 7-Eleven car of Tony Kanaan, tried a very forceful move at the green, and he is now charging through the field.
And I tell you, mid-pack, these guys are flying back because they're side by side. You can see the sense of urgency in these drivers right now. The clouds are moving in, the rain is close, and they're driving quick and hard, and they're trying to get to the front quick. Already Castroneves and Penske cars are checked out right now with Marco Andretti hot and trail right now, guys.
That's right, the rookie Marco Andretti, one of 2 drivers in tonight's field that have never raced here at the 3/4 mile bull ring known as Richmond International Raceway. Behind Andretti, it's Mira, then Scott Sharp, who started on the outside of row number 1, Dario Franchitti, Scheckter, Weldon, Kanaan, Matsuura. That's your top 10.
You know, Scott, talk about speed out here. These guys are running almost 50 miles per hour faster than the stock cars I've generally drove here. These guys are flying around this racetrack. They're taking turn 1 and 2 wide open and not even lifting. That's something we wouldn't even think about in the past.
It's just incredible the speed that these cars can carry, and that's because of the downforce that these cars have, producing almost 5,000 pounds of downforce. Now let's ride along here with Franchitti, the number 10 car in front of you of Danny Weldon. Franchitti trying the high side. Will he get it done? Touching wheels, Marty.
That is so close. And we have seen it happen so many times here where you will be sent into the wall if you have that kind of contact. Elio Castroneves, you saw the statistic, very consistent this year. He's already won 3 times. His teammate Sam Hornish right behind him, and they have opened up over a 1.5-second lead over third place, Marco Andretti.
One of the big stories we're going to have to watch is Dan Weldon, guys. This guy lost an engine in practice, didn't blow up, had a big oil leak. He didn't get hardly any practice at all. I think maybe about 10 minutes, Scott. And that's really going to affect him tonight because he really needed to tune this car up. I heard some stuff about wing changes early.
The weather conditions here changed so dramatically, and you're right, Rusty, because he went out there and the car was so front-end positive, the car wanted to spin out on him. They took out almost 10 turns of front wing on the car, and you've driven cars. How ugly would that have been just because they didn't have a chance to have the opportunity for full practice?
Well, the race NASCAR fans watching this right now, let me give you a little example. 10 turns of wing, that's like changing 500 pounds of a right rear spring, or maybe 20 rounds of wedge out in a stock car. Is huge. And so right now, Weldon is making his way through the pack right now, but taking it nice and easy.
Let's get more on Dan Weldon, Jack.
Remember the last time we were together, Dan Weldon said he thought his team was giving some wins away? Well, Dan has come up with a way to try and motivate his team. Fellas, he says that he will not shave until he goes to victory lane in 2006 again. I certainly hope the beard doesn't get too long.
I can tell you, Cruz Pedregon tried that in drag racing, and he looked like a shaggy dog, but he was talking about a haircut before he finally won. That's Dan Weldon. Let's take a look at the race leaders, and already we are seeing lap traffic come into play, and that is Jeff Simmons on the high side. Castroneves has made it around. Hornish now gets by him. Let's get more on Elio. Jamie?
Well, guys, just as Elio Castroneves was trying to find his rhythm and settling in there, 10 laps in, boom, he's dealing with lap traffic. It's the start of a long night here in Richmond. They're going to be dealing with lap traffic from here on out. And that car he just passed with Jeff Simmons, who slipped back 2 positions.
This is the tightest track the IndyCar Series runs all season long, 3/4 of a mile, and we are lapping at 17 seconds a lap, an average of about 156 miles an hour. And that is on full tanks. That's Buddy Lazier. He's the next victim for Elio Castroneves. Lazier running in 18th place right now. So as the racing action continues, we'll go side by side. You won't miss a thing as the laps continue to fly by here at Richmond. ESPN2's presentation of the SunTrust Indy Challenge, presented by XM Satellite Radio, brought to you by SunTrust, seeing beyond money, and by XM Satellite Radio, the exclusive satellite radio home of Major League Baseball. You are flying along with Marco Andretti, and that's a camera we haven't seen this year, right on the nose of his Dallara.
Watch the Firestone telemetry. The throttle now 100% down this very short backstretch, just 860 feet, 14-degree banking in the turns here, Rusty, and you've won here quite a few times. You know how tough this racetrack can be. Very tough at both ends, but very different.
Oh, it's very, very different. You know, I might have won here 6 times before, but I've never run a car this fast. Now look at this nose camera, guys. This is incredible. It shows how fast these guys are really running. At this speed right now, this speed versus a stock car, an Indy car can lap a stock car, Scott, every 3 laps. That's hard for me to believe.
Isn't that pretty incredible? I would love to be able to go out there one-on-one with you and just think about that. Every 3 laps, you'd see me coming in the mirror.
Dude, let me tell you what, as I see you come by that 3rd time, I'd pull right out in front of you. You weren't going to lap me, dude, not for the 3rd time at least. This car's incredibly fast. I can't believe this camera is one of the new cameras we have. Really great shot there.
Doc, you've got more on Marco?
Hey, Marty, give a call to 19-year-old Marco Andretti. We talk about how different this racetrack is. Prior to this past Thursday, Marco Andretti had never been on a track shorter than 1 mile. As we watch him move up front for the lead, and a lead change up front as these Barbara Team Penske guys are battling it out. And what a surprise. These 2 guys are right now at the class of the field early on. But getting back to Marco Andretti, he had never raced on a track less than 1 mile and had never seen Richmond International Raceway with his naked eye until he came here this week. So he said if he's moved back, that's okay. Right now he's holding his on, hanging on in 3rd spot.
It was Sam Hornish trying to duck under his teammate. Elio Castroneves could not get it done. What is striking me, and this says something, look at the next victim for the race leaders. So we move back a little further. There's some action going with Vitor Meira trying for third place. Meanwhile, Buddy Rice is about to be put a lap down. That's how bad things have gone for Rahal Letterman.
Well, we're real concerned about Buddy Rice because Buddy crashed in practice, didn't get much practice at all after the big crash. In fact, I guess he didn't get anything. And so he's just holding on for dear life right now, looking for a caution flag, guys, to make a wing change, air pressure change or something, get himself back in the ball game here.
Doc, you've got more on Buddy Rice?
Hey guys, they're lucky just to be on the racetrack. That crash he had this afternoon, they made major changes. The left rear corner, the rear wing, 2 left side wishbones, the fresh engine in the car, and a brand new nose piece. And they got no practice whatsoever after having to rebuild that car, the Argent Pioneer machine for Buddy Rice after the impact this afternoon. So he's lucky to be on the racetrack. And right now, you're right, Rusty Wallace. He is trying to hang on. It will make major adjustments the first time they get a yellow and come on the pit road.
If he can stay on the lead lap. We talked to him about his string of bad luck.
It's still stemming from last year. I mean, we had 9 DNFs, and I think all but one were some sort of a mechanical issue, and most of it was out of our control. So, I mean, I had a decent run going at Watkins Glen before I crashed there last year. Came back this year and got, 4th again. So, I mean, we drove from the back at Watkins Glen too. So it's, it's just we'll see what we can do.
So Buddy Rice continues in 17th place, just trying to hang on to the first round of pit stops.
Well, I'll tell you, Castroneves and Hornish might be hooked up bumper to bumper, but they cannot shake Marco Andretti, Vitor Meira, or Scott Sharp. Those guys are running incredible speeds, and the Penske cars might be leading right now, but they can't get away from these other 3 guys. I don't think this thing's going to be a Penske runaway, Scott.
Well, it's 250 laps around here, Rusty, and we saw Vitor Meira and Marco Andretti run strong here all week. And the interesting thing is that you said earlier, Marty, is that Marco had never seen this place before now. And very interesting. This track's a little bit like a road course, which he's very comfortable on. I've been so impressed since the beginning of the season how he's taken to these big cars when I thought he really would have some difficulty.
Well, we've got to step aside, but you'll go side by side, and you won't miss a thing as we are still under green. And there is Marco Andretti, and there are the 2 targets in front of him. They belong to Team Penske. Well, that's the great thing about side-by-side. You saw Sam Hornish take over the lead from Elio Castroneves. Scott Sharp has just gotten around Marco Andretti, and Marco is fading back into the clutches of his teammate Dario Franchitti.
Consistency is one of the big keys around this racetrack because the fuel load, as it starts to burn off, the car starts to handle a little bit differently with a light weight coming on the car. Also, track conditions change. You have the roll bar and the weight jacker inside the car to actually try and adjust the car to make it handle better. But it's a lot to ask of the car to get working around here for a full possibly 90 or 100 laps on the fuel load, Rusty.
It's definitely a lot to expect out of the car. I'll tell you, Scott, while we're talking here, I'm looking at Tony Kanaan. He is he's just rocking it through this field right now. He's running some of the fastest speeds of the race. I tell you what, he is definitely not out of this thing. His car is looking good out there.
Kanaan right now running in the 7th starting position.
-4 to the leader, Sam.
You heard the -4 to the leader. As the laps continue to fly by, we are already at lap 45. There is Tony's intervals. You can see where he was. He fell back to 9th, but has been getting on the gallop here in the last few laps.
I know it's early in the going right now, guys, but I'm seeing Andretti Green Racing really running stronger than I've seen him run in a long time. Marco's continued to improve every single week. They're looking wonderful on the track right now. He, like I said, I can ask you guys, and Castroneves, Hornish, those type of guys, they can't shake these guys. They're right up their tailpipe. And as we see Franchitti right here, along with Kanaan running bumper to bumper, they're catching the leaders just a little bit here.
Take you back to a scary moment for Dario Franchitti and Dan Weldon. Watch here as it looks like these guys are going to make contact.
They didn't look. They did make it.
Man, that...
Take the Firestone right off the side of the tires. They're now black walls. Weldon trying on the inside of Franchitti and just thought he might be able to carry the speed through, but Little love tap between some former teammates.
Guys, they're doing that at 150 miles an hour. Now you got a battle for third, and Scott Sharp has gotten around Vitor Meira, and he takes over the third position. And we should point out, Sharp really liked his race car all weekend.
Very happy with it, was very aggressive in qualifying. Most aggressive I've seen him in a long time with that. Front row start for him, the first time since Indy in 2005 for him to be on the front row. And great run for him right now. Looks like the car and the track is coming back to him.
Jamie, you've got more on Scott?
Well, guys, if you remember back to the beginning of the season, Scott Sharp changed chassis. He's in a Dallara now, and he said this is the first time they feel like they've really come together. He feels good in the car, and that showed just 2 weeks ago in Texas, where he had his best finish of the season of 5th. And today, guys, like you said, he started 2nd. He said, I am amped up for this race, and he's ready for another race win. Guys?
Well, he is closing in on Helio Castroneves, and I've got to wonder if Helio's got a problem. He is going slower, 148 miles an hour on that last lap. Hornish has run 154 on the last lap, and he's opened up a 6.5-second lead.
Well, Scott Sharp is definitely catching Castroneves, but this time, just about the time I was bragging how they're running down to Team Penske, Hornish is checked out. We got a caution on the track.
We have got debris on the racetrack, so on lap 53 of 250, we have our first caution. We have never gone caution-free in this race. In fact, we always have at least a minimum of 5, and the maximum is 9, and we don't want to go anywhere close to that tonight. But right now, our first caution for debris out on the racetrack. So that will tighten up the field.
Now this is a time when all the teams will get ready for taking advantage of this yellow. You do not want to pit underneath a green scenario if possible. Very easy on this racetrack with only a 3/4 mile length to go down, maybe 2 laps, maybe even 3 if you don't have a quick pit stop. So everybody will take advantage of the slow pace, put out their tires, make some adjustments on the car with wings, tire pressures, especially people that were starting to fall off the pace a little bit, Rusty Wallace, like Helio Castroneves. They will probably make some tire pressure changes, some wing changes. He's communicating with the pits right now, telling what the car is doing. They need to make that car better for the next stint.
You got a guy like Buddy Rice who crashed in practice. He needed his caution like real bad. A lot of guys needed his caution to get tuned up because it's a lot cooler right now, Scott, than it was in practice this afternoon. Much, much hotter.
It is really hard to get your lap back once you have lost it, unless you are the beneficiary of the wave by. We'll explain that if and when it happens. But as of right now, here we go. Let's send it down to Dr. Jerry Punch as Marco Andretti's heading your way, Doc.
19-year-old makes his very first pit stop on a short track. Got to be flawless here. You can get into trouble in a hurry. 4 tires, slight air pressure as we head up to Jamie Little.
Helio Castroneves, then, you guys, he was slowing because he had some understeer in traffic. They're making that front wing adjustment. Full
Jamie, a tight air pressure adjustment on Dan Weldon in a drag race with a whole gaggle of cars on pit road.
So feeding time is over, and everybody gets back out on the racetrack. Some of them on sticker tires, as you can tell. Others on scuffs, as we'll sort it out for you, as it looks as though maybe the Penske cars got out first again. So we'll find out. Stay with us. You'll go side by side. When we come back, we'll reset the field and go green once again. Under our first caution here, and along with Rusty Wallace, Scott Goodyear, I'm Marty Reed. Glad that you're with us. Let's talk a little bit about the wave round. Sam Hornish maintains the lead. Helio Castroneves is second. But Scott, Buddy Rice stayed out. He gets the wave around. Let's explain it for everybody.
I certainly like what he did because he took advantage of this yellow to try and get his lap back. And what he did, he stayed on track. And once the car for him starts to work, maybe he'll be able to catch up to this pack itself. But he gets a chance to go around and get to the back end of the lead group.
Well, once Buddy gets a wave around, he can't pit, so he's got to stay out. He's gambling right now, guys. But he does have 50 laps of fuel remaining, so he's gambling on another caution plate coming out. His car's light. The tires aren't wearing a whole lot right now, so this could be a good gamble on his part.
Let's reset the field for you. It's running across the top of your screen as you look at the Scott Dixon ducking underneath the lap traffic of Jeff Simmons. Koski Matsura, you saw him ducking under as well. We've got guys slicing and dicing all over.
3 cars in front.
Oh, and a crash as Simmons is into the wall again. Poor Jeff Simmons. Some of these crashes have not been of his making. He has been swallowed up.
You okay?
In every race but one this year that he has been in that seat. And look at the frustration on the team. Bobby Rahal
That team has had so many crashes this year. We just talked about Buddy Rice being off sequence just a little bit here a moment ago because he crashed in warm-up, had to turn around and repair the car, so the car's not really up to speed. But this team with Ray Hall Letterman has had a lot of crashes so far this year, and Simmons, as you mentioned, he's been taking out quite a few, Marty, as you said. Not his doing, but the crash damage is almost like Ganassi had last year when he lost 3 cars here at this racetrack alone, Rusty. The price just keeps going up when you keep crashing these cars.
Well, I watched that wreck right there unfold, Scott. He got on the high side of the racetrack. He got the right front tire up into marbles. At that point, he couldn't steer the car. He slid in a wall pretty slow, to tell you the truth. Hey, look, we know Simmons is a great driver. He flat flew in that Infiniti Pro Series. This guy knows how to get it done. But Ray Hall Letterman, with his chassis change halfway through the year right now, off of the Panos into Dallara, these guys haven't had much time to figure out. And as you can see, they're suffering right now. Bobby Rahal's about ready to pull the last little bit of hair he does have out of his head.
And there you see the car going into the safer barrier on the outside of turn 2, a very tricky part. Remember, this is after restart on cold tires, and this is when the car is very difficult to drive. But interesting for him right now, he's going to have to turn around and get this car repaired. Here we go along with Danica. Patrick, you can see on the right-hand side of your screen, as you mentioned, Rusty, he's way high. Now, maybe drove the car into the turn just a little bit too hard, or maybe got forced up there. We don't know. But as you mentioned, once you get on those marbles, your day is done.
Now, in our meeting today, we talked to Brian Barnhart. Barnhart said if the marbles get too bad, we're going to get the blowers out, we're going to get the sweepers out, and clean the track up. So he's watching this thing unfold right now. He saw all this problem happen off of turn 2, and just like he promised, he's got the sweepers out right now because he's not going to take a chance with these guys.
That was Brian Barnhart on the front of your screen just a few moments ago, and there's the sweeper over the right side right there to get up all the debris that they can. We'll go side by side. Stay with us. We'll reset the field once again when we go green here at Richmond. Back here as we get you caught up on what's happened so far here at Richmond. And Team Penske's been running strong up front. One of the 2 cars has been first or second the entire way. Marco Andretti been very strong until just recently. He's got a bit of a problem turning the car in. More on that in just a few moments. Dario Franchitti started 10th. He has moved up to 5th despite having contact twice. And Dan Weldon, one of those guys that had contact with Franchitti, he's moved up to the 7th position. And our second caution brought out just a few laps ago on lap 64 when Jeff Simmons tagged the wall once again. There is Team Penske, Sam Hornish in front of Elio Castroneves. It's Scott Sharp in 3rd, then Tony Kanaan, Dario Franchitti. Marco Andretti is 6th, Dan Weldon 7th, Thomas Scheckter 8th, Vitor Mira 9th, Scott Dixon 10th. For all Danica Patrick fans, we can tell you that she is in the number 13 spot, still on the lead lap. But let's go back and talk about Buddy Rice's situation along with his crash earlier today. Now Jeff Simmons. Buddy does get the advantage here. It pays off. He's coming in. He's getting his fuel. More on their team situation. Let's get more from Doc.
A great strategy move by Scott Rimke, who's now back running this team from behind pit wall. A major front wing adjustment. Buddy Rice got his lap back, stayed on the lead lap, and got another yellow flag, and now makes his pit stop at the back of the field with a major front wing adjustment, but now back on the lead lap.
And guys, and Rusty, the thing I was getting to right before he made that pit stop, all these crashes that this team has had, it has not allowed them to do any development work on this new Dallara chassis, and they're behind.
They haven't been able to do development work, and they are behind. But that's what they chose to do, Marty. They complained so much about the Panos chassis early that Bobby made the decision. He went to the Dallara for them, and now they got to pay it and work this thing out. And it's going to take some races.
Well, I think it's important to note that the whole series looks like it's all going towards Dallara chassis. We spoke about this a few races ago. Things start to get developed for the mass in the series. Dallara chassis is run by just about everybody except for Panos, so you start to wonder if whether or not the Firestone tires, the aerodynamic devices, all those start to work towards the one type of chassis. Were they ever going to be on par? They seem like they kept falling further and further behind, so probably a good move long term when they're starting to think about next year instead of actually worrying about now.
So while we watch Buddy Rice at the back of this pack on board with Marco Andretti just a few moments ago, we had a chance to listen in on his radio.
Hey, Marco, where we at with the car again besides sliding everywhere?
Yeah, you said it. I mean, the front is unbelievable. Like, the front has no grip whatsoever. This thing does not want to turn in. I think for the first stop, we should go to maybe 2 turns of front wing, and then I'll back the bar off.
So we go back to green flag racing on lap 73 of 250. It is Sam Hornish, Helio Castroneves, and Scott Sharp running 1, 2, 3. On board with Sharp.
Sharp's the guy I want to take a look at right now. He's got fresh tires, full fuel, just like everybody else. Let's see how he does out here, because the Penske guys could not shake him too much except for Hornish.
Physical fitness is so important in this series right now, especially at this racetrack with the high downforce that you have, the tight turns. You're seeing up towards 5 Gs in the turns itself as we ride along with Scott Sharp. Now going in through here at about 165 miles an hour and turning. And Scott Sharp has done a wonderful job as we watch the Firestone telemetry right now. He has improved his physical fitness in the last 2 years, probably more than anybody in this series has taken it very, very seriously.
Rusty, the thing I'm noticing as we look on the onboard camera, he's not fighting that wheel. Although that one he got up a little high.
Well, he's not fighting the car much. That's just a good indication the car's handling real good. You know, a lot of people are thinking, why are we talking so much about physical fitness? I mean, you never hear the stock car guys talk about it. The stock car guys have got power steering. These guys don't. Let me tell you one little statistic here. At the Indianapolis 500, these cars had about 2,200 pounds of downforce. Now with these big wings here, we're up to 5,400 pounds of downforce. Very, very heavy on the steering wheel. That's the reason we're talking so much about how they're so hard to turn.
And that's the physical fitness aspect that we spoke about just a moment ago. And as we're watching this unfold right now, we start to see Hornish start to take off. It looks like Castroneves is still having problems with his car and holding up Sharp.
And Jamie, you've got more on Scott Sharp?
That's right, guys. He has a great car. His team just told him, keep up the great work, buddy. It's going to be a long, hard night, but keep it up. The car is good. So he's happy. And you guys are talking about physical fitness. It doesn't get any better than Scott Sharp.
Pulling 5 Gs through the corners, it can wear on you as you continue to fly around this track at now 158 miles an hour.
It's just so, I still talk about this, Scott. It's so hard to believe that you stand down at turn 1 and watch an Indycar go around here, and they never lift. They run wide open, and it's the most incredible thing you've ever seen. You know, I know when I used to drive here, I drive down, off the gas, on the brake, hit the car to the bottom of the racetrack, accelerate up off the corner.
You're doing awesome, champ. Way to hang in there. Those guys are right with you. You're doing good.
As you see Scott Sharp right now, looks like Kanaan is starting to march himself forward also. A lot of support coming from the team with the radios. We keep hearing that because this is very tough as we talk about for the drivers inside the cockpit. You spend about 70% of a lap going around this racetrack turning the steering wheel. And if you make one small mistake and be off just a little bit, you can find yourself in the wall.
Jack, you've got more on TK?
Yeah, Marty, Tony Kanaan avoided a major confrontation just before that caution when he locked wheels with his teammate Dario Franchitti. They've made some adjustments to Tony Kanaan's car, and he likes it. I asked Kim Green, what is the reason why these cars, all of Andretti Green's cars, seem more competitive here this weekend? He said, we came back after Texas and felt that we as a team had to spend more time massaging the cars. He said, we worked very hard there, and he said, we feel we've got a better race car for our drivers here. And it's all about, as you guys know, the little things.
Well, I'll tell you one thing I do know. When you put a ton of downforce on these cars, it patches up a lot of problems. These guys have got all the same engines in these cars right now, so it's not a horsepower issue, Scott. And if the car's off a little bit, they can just screw a bunch of downforce on these things. And we talked about this race coming in thinking that, hey, if anybody's going to blow off the Ganassi teams and the Penske teams, it can be somebody else now because of all this downforce in this style of racetrack.
And as you say, that's the mass for it. When we get to the next track at Kansas, the 1.5 miles, when you're running 215, 20 miles an hour, then it becomes an aerodynamic race car and trying to get as much aero load out of the car as possible. And that's what the teams will be fighting for the next event.
Guys, we're starting to see something that the drivers told us before today's drivers meeting, that it would be harder and harder to pass once you got your car dialed in. For some reason, the Firestone tire is a harder compound this year. They're having a harder time getting it to grip outside that one lane of the track.
And that's very important because as the race continues to go, when you get those marbles off the tires and it starts to run that high groove, it makes it tougher to pass around this race circuit, and you have to be very cautious. Watch for drivers start to protect the low side further as we get into this race. They will not want to open up that lower lane.
We're going to step aside as you go side by side. Right now, it is Team Penske running up front. Sam Hornish, Helio Castroneves. They have led every lap between the two of them here at Richmond. Don't go away. They may have something up their sleeve, and maybe something has somebody for them. Don't want to miss that. And right now, you're not missing Sam Hornish as he is flying around this track at over 152 miles an hour. Starting to run into some more lap traffic, though, here on the 3/4 mile bull ring of Richmond International Raceway. That is Eddie Cheever right in front of him.
Well, the big problem we got right now, Scott, just about everything that Buddy Rice has gained, he's about to lose right now to Sam Hornish.
Yeah, because Buddy is the car right in front of Eddie Cheever, and that is a battle for position on the racetrack.
You know, you spoke about Sam. He just got back to Defiance, Ohio, his hometown, for the very first time after winning the Indianapolis 500. They had Sam Hornish Day, and he got a couple of days off, and then he got back on the airplane this week and went to Daytona to test the IROC car, and then was back here for Thursday to test here at Richmond in the Indycar. But a very busy week for him. His family actually had a party for him on Friday night back home. 400 people in attendance.
We talked about drag racing a little while ago. Can you imagine running 330 mile an hour in a 1/4 mile? Those drag race guys just kill me. Don Perdomo and those guys, I love watching them, man. That drag race, if you've never been to one, you better go.
All right, let's get a word in with Sam Hornish. We talked about his hectic schedule. What about the rivalry between Team Penske and Team Ganassi?
I just think it's the work that we've done over the past couple of years with really working hard at trying to make sure that the cars are good. I think both teams have very good drivers and big teams behind them. So I think that there'll be a point in time when everybody else gets caught up. But right now we just keep working away at it, try to keep that gap as far open as we can.
Right now, that gap is 0.7 of a second over his teammate Helio Castroneves. Another 1.1 seconds back to Scott Sharp.
Now remember how fast Sam was here last year when he was chasing his teammate, and he just got a little bit loose and actually lost the car and went up into the wall. When the car is fast around here, Rusty, that's when the car is loose. It's very neutral in its balance, but you have to also keep up with the track changes and the fuel load changes. As we see right now, Helio Castroneves slicing underneath the 15. It's actually Sam Hornish, I apologize, is already starting now to get through everybody, including Buddy Rice.
So that means up to 15th place now, Rusty, has been put a lap down.
You know, we talked about the racetrack. It's one of the best designed racetracks we race on, but you've got a lot of banking guys that lean on, get into turn 1, but when you come off of turn 2, this racetrack really flattens out. And a little while ago, Eddie Cheever just got hung up in the top of turn 2, almost caused a big one, not of his doing, but boy, he had to really get off the gas big time.
Eddie Cheever a little slow, but he's staying on the high side of the racetrack, and everybody seems to be able to get around him. There goes Scott Dixon. Several cars, including Kanan, Marco Andretti, Franchitti, Mirror, they have all made it past him. Don't know if Eddie's got a problem, but he has his last lap right there, 1:23.
Well, he did a very gentleman thing, actually. He saw the whole group coming, and he wasn't fighting for position, so very nicely moved up and let that whole group of cars go through as they're continuing to fight for position themselves.
Well, he's got a lot of marbles in the tires. He got real way up there, Scott, in that outside groove. And those hot tires, those hot Firestone tires, picked up all that debris on the top of the racetrack. He couldn't even steer the car. He had to get out of there, get out of the throttle, get out of the way so he can get all the stuff cleared back off his tires. That was the problem he had out there just then.
Just got word from IRL officials that the 9 car, Scott Dixon, has been warned about blocking. So we'll keep you posted on that. Right now, Sam Hornish Jr. is trying to get around the 5 car of Buddy Lazier.
And remember back in Indianapolis, the 9 car of Scott Dixon had a penalty, a drive-through penalty for blocking there also.
That is a battle for second right now. Helio Castroneves right in front of the 8 car of Scott Sharp.
And this is exactly what Sharp's looking for, trying to take advantage of the slower car in front. Castroneves.
Tony Kanaan is slowing. Kanaan was running in 7th, and he is pulling off of the racetrack. So the first Andretti green car is out.
No, man, it's broke.
He says it's broke. His best finish here, he went 5th in 03 and 04. He's coming off that 7th place run at Texas, and this one is not going to end up very good for Tony Kanaan. Meanwhile, he continues out on the track.
Sharp's just wearing out Castroneves off of turn 2. Looks like Helio's got a big push off of turn 2 and have to jump out of the throttle a lot, and Sharp does not have to. I've been watching a couple laps now, and that's where he's getting beat right there off of turn 2.
And what he needs to do is to hang back and take advantage of what Castroneves is fighting for, and that's to try to get around Buddy Lazier. It looks like now the move to the inside might make it happen, and he does.
So you see the change right there on the screen. Jack, what happened to Tony Kanaan?
Well, it's a throttle issue, fellas. You know, these cars don't have anything other than a wire that kind of connects the throttle. And for Tony Kanaan, he got on that throttle, and the wire came disconnected. And all of a sudden, the engine was at full throttle all the way around. You can't have that. And he just told Kim Green, we're done for the night.
So a tough break for Tony Kanaan. It'll hurt him in the points championship chase. He came into this evening 5th in the points, 68 behind our leader, Helio Castroneves. His night is over.
That hurts. Kanaan was so strong tonight. He ran great all throughout the night, and I'm really disappointed this happened to him because he really had it going on. And now you see Castroneves lap Buddy Rice. So everything Buddy's worked so hard. I mean, Hornish just lapped Buddy Rice. Everything he's worked for so hard, it just went away for him.
Well, actually, it was Danica Patrick because Danica, yeah, because he's already gotten past Rice, just put Danica down. They're running 13th and 14th, so that means we only have 12 cars on the lead lap. And Matsuura is next. Let's get more from Jamie Little. I think she's caught up to Tony Kanaan.
That's right. Tony Kanaan got out of the car right at pit out there. Tony, what happened?
I think the cable and the gear lever broke. I was stuck in 6th gear for 20 laps after the pit stop, and I mean, I was still hanging in there, and all of a sudden it stopped right away. I think something really broke in the gearbox. It's a shame because we had a strong car. I was just saving some fuel and waiting till the end, but this is racing. I mean, it was a long time that we haven't dropped off out of the race, so I feel sorry for the 7-11 guys, but let's move on. Let's try to have a good race in Kansas.
All right, how about that quick, smart exit by Tony Kanaan, guys, in turn 1. Tough break.
Yeah, you notice he was winded there. That gives you an idea how much exertion it takes to drive around this 3/4 mile bull ring. He was trying to catch his breath while still talking. Right now, everybody's trying to catch Sam Hornish. And let's find out what's going on with Jeff Simmons, who went out of the race on lap 64. Dr. Jerry Punch has caught up to him.
Thank you, Martin. The driver of the team ethanol machine has climbed out back in the garage area. And Jeff, we saw the car slide high and didn't have contact. What happened?
Yeah, I feel really bad for everybody on team ethanol. I mean, basically, I was had a not a very good handling car, and I was just trying to stay out of everybody's way. And I knew there was one car coming inside. I didn't know there was 2. When I saw 2, I tried to get more room. Then, I was up in the gray and couldn't get the car to turn. So we just had a whole lot of problems there. We probably should have just pulled it in. We were hoping we could work on it during the race and get it better, but it, ended early.
All right, so we're trying a totally different setup tonight for Jeff Simmons, and obviously it didn't work out. A tough night for the rookie driver, guys.
And as you see, his 4th DNF of the season. So there is Kosuke Matsuura. He's the next victim for our race leader, Sam Hornish, in the number 6 Team Penske machine. As we go side by side, does anybody have anything for Sam Hornish? He's got a 2-second lead right now. Well, back here at Richmond International Raceway, you're on board with Danica Patrick. Notice the difference with the way she's manhandling the steering wheel versus when we were on board with Scott Sharp, who is running in the top 3. Look at her last lap. I mean, she got out of everybody's way and then got up in the gray.
She got, as we talked about, and Rusty pointed out before, those marbles, they're acting up in the gray section. So we see here, everybody's starting to come past her. And she does a nice gesture, actually. She starts to move out of the way. Oh, Sharp almost drove in the back of her because she's just trying to get out of the throttle and be out of people's way. Sometimes you can do that, especially on a small track, and get off the gas just too much. The closing rate is so quick.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you get up in the marbles, it takes 2 or 3 laps to curl that stuff off the tires. And folks, I apologize a little while ago. I thought that was Buddy Rice getting lapped, but it was Danica Patrick. These cars are painted identical. Scott, I tell you, that's pretty hard to tell the difference every now and then.
Well, I even found it hard to see when you're driving on the racetrack, when you're coming up behind the cars on the racetrack, and the teammate cars were the same. You didn't know who it was sometimes.
Well, we had a chance to talk to Danica about having the patience needed to race at Richmond.
Oh, yeah, you have to be patient here. Everybody's got to be patient, even the leader. there's very little room for error here. It becomes a one-groove track. There's lots of debris outside the line, so it's super important to make sure that you stay under control, leave yourself a margin, and that's what I did last year, and I think that's effective for anybody running. So it did me well last year. Hopefully it does me even better this year.
Unfortunately, it's not going to do enough tonight, as she is just not fast enough. As take a look, there is Marco Andretti, and it looks like he has taken over second place and has from Helio Castroneves. So now it is Hornish with a 3.7-second lead over Marco Andretti. Castroneves has dropped back to third. Look at that Vitor Mira trying to duck underneath Scott Sharp.
Everybody taking advantage of the traffic. The traffic slows the pace down a little bit. Here's Vitor Mira. Vitor Mira makes it stick. He gets the run down the front stretch and slides underneath Sharp. A nice job.
That's a good case of give and take right there, Scott. You know, back to Marco Andretti. He said a little while ago he was real tight, the front end pushing. He put 2 rounds of front wing in that car to get more downforce, and it's obviously helped him big time.
Let's get more from Dr. Jerry Punch.
Exactly what you guys were saying a moment ago. You know, Kyle Moyer listened to Marco Andretti. You heard the radio communication. I'm sliding. So as he made the front wing adjustment and the air pressure, he reminded Marco afterward, look, we're going to make it better. It's going to get better. The track's going to come to you. You saw a moment ago as Marco moved into second spot. The track is coming to him. And by the way, Kyle Moyer was calling the shots for Dario Franchitti, who finished second here and Milwaukee, both as short ovals a year ago.
Thanks, Doc. While you were wrapping up, you saw Marco go around the lap traffic of Koski Matsura. So now he is setting sights on his next lap victim, which would be Buddy Lazier. And there is Scott Sharp. He is chasing Helio Castroneves.
And Castroneves has been running that low line as we ride along now, the Delphi car with Scott Sharp. And it looks like Castroneves just tries to protect that bottom side all the time. I think he's got a car that just doesn't handle as well, obviously, as his teammate, Rusty.
You know, we talk about Marco Andretti moving into second place. Guys, I got to tell you, Sam Hornish is in a different zip code right now. He is just checked out. As I'm watching this race unfold, he's almost a half lap away from the second place car.
Dario Franchitti, a close moment there trying to get around the 5 car, the escort car of Buddy Lazier. Talk about traffic in close quarters here.
There is Sam Hornish. Our race is official. While we were in side-by-side, you saw the lap counter go past 126. We're working 147 of 250, and Sam has a 5.3 second over Marco Andretti, and as you can see the gap on your screen, it is huge for this track.
That's what you call it when you're really hooked up. That's what it looks like, guys. This thing is screwed to the ground and really trucking. He's got a great car tonight, Hornish does. We expected it. We really thought that somebody can challenge him, and some more caution flags come around, and these guys get them tuned up better. I think they still can, Scott.
Best race right now is right there. Marco Andretti in second, and right behind him there in the number 4 is Vitor Mira. And of course, both these racers looking for their first ever IndyCar wins. Difference is Vitor's been quite a while. Marco's in his rookie season.
Right on your mark.
And there is Danica Patrick coming into the pits. Dr. Jerry Punch.
Talking about the understeer, the oversteer, by the way, the car very loose. This will be the last pit stop she will have to make. They took some more front wing out as now the yellow flag waves here at Richmond, and now most of them can make their final pit stop under the yellow flag conditions, guys.
So Danica Patrick gets caught by the yellow. Sam Hornish's 5+ second lead is evaporated, and you're right, Doc, this will be the last pit stop that everybody will need to take. They'll be able to go the finish and be able to turn up the wick.
Right now, these cars are getting somewhere between 2.6 and 3 miles per gallon. That can put them over the 100-lap mark. We're at 151 right now. They can definitely make it the rest of the way at full rich mixture. So nobody's got to lean them down to make it. We're talking pedal to the metal right now, take that mixture knob and pull it full rich, Scott, and make all the power that Honda engine can make.
But Rusty, the one thing that a lot of drivers have spoken about now is that the optimum part of the tire has started to go off. once the car starts to get around 75 laps. So will you have something underneath you to really have that shootout for the last 25? That's probably what some drivers will think about. If we do see another yellow, will they come in maybe just to put a new set of tires on? We'll have to wait and see.
Well, good question, but track position is everything.
And you can see the last time that everybody pitted in the top 5, it was back on lap 55, and we're working lap 153. So that's why we said it's easy to figure out. Not difficult math this time, unlike maybe next week when we're in Kansas, where fuel will play a factor. So we're waiting for the pit lane to open. Right now it is Hornish, Andretti, Mira, Castroneves, and Scott Sharp, your top 5. And as they make their way into pit lane, let's send it to Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, they've already made the calculations exactly how much fuel Marco Andretti will need to make it to lap 250. Here he comes, his final pit stop scheduled of the afternoon. 4 tires. See the fueler now. 4 tires going on as we head down to Jackaroon.
Well, Doc, for Dario Franchitti, they're going to make a wing adjustment. They go 2 full turns down. He's off and away, Jamie.
Sam Hornish Jr. came in. We heard he took 22 gallons of fuel to make it to the end. 4 tires, no changes, guys.
We have a fire down here on pit road. All of a sudden, they have gotten it out very quickly on Ryan Herta's car. It was a flash fire, but this is the great part about these crews. They understood immediately, and they doused the methanol fires with water. And then, discretion was the better part of valor. They waved Ryan Herta back out to get the car away and the potential fuel load away from the crew. Everybody looks to be initially all right, folks.
All right, thanks. That's good news that nobody got serious. Remember, you cannot see the flame on a methanol fire. Now, next year, we will be going to 100% ethanol, and they will be adding a dye, what we've been preliminarily told, that you will be able to see the flame, which will help everybody as well. So we're going to step aside for a break as we're in lap 155 of 250. So far, it has been Sam Hornish dominating. But remember what happened to Dan Weldon the last 3 races when he dominated? Well, next Sunday, July 2nd, the Indycar Series points leader Helio Castroneves, Indy 500 champ Sam Hornish, Danica Patrick, and the rest of the field head to Kansas for the Indy 300 Sunday at 1 Eastern on ABC. In case you're just tuning in, there is the brand new paint scheme for Dan Weldon, a 1-race effort with Nicoderm CQ. He's in the blue colors this week instead of the target red. Let's get you caught up if you're just tuning in. Sam Hornish has been running up front literally all night along with his teammate Helio Castroneves. And another youngster who's been doing really well, 19-year-old Marco Andretti. He's running 4th right now and has not been outside the top 5. Vitor Mira has been coming on strong. Right now, after pit stops, he has cycled into the 6th spot. But it has been a very rough night for Danica Patrick. She is 2 laps down and just got caught under the yellow while she came in for her final pit stop. Let's get you caught up to speed with the Triple J Ranch. Jamie Little, you're up first.
Well, Marty, Sam Hornish Jr. has not won a race since the Indianapolis 500, and tonight, so far, so good. He's led 116 laps. His car feels great, and they are finished with pit stops for the night. Jack.
Likewise for the man that is running in 2nd position, Dario Franchitti in the Canadian Club car, the Clank Tool Special, had a very fast last pit stop. Made a major wing change, and Dario Franchitti is on the hunt. This is as high as Franchitti has run, but as we've said before, he is the master of the short ovals. Jamie?
Well, Jack, things have flip-flopped for Helio. He had his car dialed the last few days until today. He's been struggling with an understeer all night. The crew has made some wing adjustments. It hasn't helped, and that's why he started on the pole, and he's now sitting 3rd. Dr. Punch.
Marco Andretti could make history here tonight by becoming the youngest driver ever to win a major open-wheel race at 19 years, 3 months, and 11 days. He is currently sitting in 4th. You heard Marty say he hasn't been out of the top 5 all night long. They have made their final pit stop. The word for young Marco is take care of the tires. You got a fast car. If you hang on to those Firestones, you'll be a factor when the checkered waves. Jack.
Final pit stop has taken place for the man right behind Marco Andretti, Dan Weldon, who has won here before but has struggled with this Nicoderm Special all night long. He's tried the wake jacker. They've added wing. They've taken wing out. In fact, he has run out of ideas and told Andy Brown so just moments ago. Jamie?
Well, Vitor Mira, guys, has a super fast car. He felt like he could win tonight. I wouldn't give up on him yet in that number 4 car, but they've lost some position in the pits. They've had some problems and they lost position. He's consistently working his way up and he's currently in 6th position. Right behind him, Scott Sharp. We've been talking a lot about the Iron Man. Tonight, guys, he makes his 122nd start in the IndyCar series and he is very hungry for a win here tonight. I wouldn't count him out. Jack?
Do you remember Scott Dixon won on the road course in a car that was painted black with the Energizer logos on it? Well, he's back in Target livery, and he has been warned once about blocking here on the short oval. Scott Dixon has complained about problems with the car in an understeer condition all night, Doc.
And guys, Thomas Scheckter called for a major chassis change prior to this race, something he hadn't tried before, and it's worked now. He was running in the back 15 in the final practice session, but he's been in the top 10 all night long, currently in 9th position. Now, right behind him, his teammate, Ed Carpenter, the other Vision Racing driver. Carpenter was loose early on. They came in, took some front wing out. Carpenter loves this racetrack. He has a 2nd and 3rd place finish here in open wheel USAC competition as a young driver. Jack?
The fire for Brian Herta has been put out. No one has been hurt. They've told that to Brian Herta. He breathed a sigh of relief, and now it's up to Herta to bring this XM satellite car home. Jamie?
Well, Kosuke Matsura, the only driver in the field from Japan tonight, had his work cut out for him, but he's staying consistent. He started 8th, and he's currently 12th. Guys?
All right, as we're getting ready to go back to green flag racing, one racer we haven't talked much about was Felipe Giafone. He has dropped all the way down to 17th. The reason I bring him up is car owner A.J. Foyt is going to have knee replacement surgery on Monday. It has finally come to that. He was working out on the ranch and did something he wasn't supposed to do, and so he's going to have the knee replaced on Monday. He'll miss 2 races. I bet you he's back before that, guys.
Well, one good thing that's happened for A.J. Foyt, I guess they're naming the race in Milwaukee, Wisconsin after him. A.J. Foyt, ABC Supply 225, so that's something good for A.J.
We're getting ready to go back to green flag racing now. Lap 164 of 250. Here we go. You're on board with Dario Franchitti. This is the highest Franchitti has been all night long. And he is closing on Sam.
Yeah, Franchitti's catching him off a turn 2. He runs up on him right there. Let's just see what happens when we get later in the run when the tires start wearing. That's where Hornish just really drove off into the sunset, Scott, when those tires wear a little bit.
A little bit of a different line for Dario Franchitti, able to keep the car just a little bit lower, which usually tells you he's happier with the car. Sam's letting the car walk itself up the road just a little bit. But as you mentioned, usually after Sam warms his tires up 4 or 5 laps, Rusty, that's when he usually bolts off. We'll have to see if he does that.
While all this is going on, we'll tell you that Vitor Mira has gotten around Dan Weldon, moved back into the top 5. There is Mira closing on Marco Andretti. Look out, getting a little dicey.
Boy, did Marco pinch him down. Remember, you have spotters here. The spotters are up on top of the grandstands here, and they're actually radioing to the drivers. They're the eyes and the ears, so they let you know when somebody's coming on the inside, and there's no doubt that Marco knew that Vitor Mira was coming. It certainly pinched him off. Now Vitor has to get back up to speed and take another run at him.
Well, Vitor had all his momentum going right there, and he got real high and had to back out of throttle, lost that momentum. That's what really killed him. Now he's got to get that thing wound back up and get back after him again, try it again.
Let's check in with Dr. Jerry Punch on Marco.
Guys, following that last pit stop, Kyle Moyer told his young driver he's got to be patient. Let's listen into the conversation. Kyle Moyer talking to Marco Andretti.
Did I hit anything in the pit?
What's that, Marco?
I felt like I hit something in the left rear when I was pulling out of the box.
Not that I'm aware of.
The freaking button. I pressed it too early, so he got a little bit of a gap. That's probably my fault. We could be 3rd right now.
That's okay. That's okay. We got a long race to go here. We're just completing the lap 155. You're done for seeing us for the day.
So there's the conversation. Kyle Moyer talking to his 19-year-old rookie who right now is in 4th spot and chastising himself for giving up 3rd to Helio Castroneves. And here comes Mira again closing in. Boy, could that Panther Racing team use a victory. They're still looking for a major sponsor. They had a deal which they thought was going to be announced about 2 races ago. It fell through at the last moment. They're still searching.
Now he's definitely faster than Marco Andretti. You can tell by how quick the car is in the middle of the turn and off the turn, Rusty, and that he seems to gain speed. Now he's got to be patient, and choose the right time to do it, so you're not going to end up hitting your front wing or knocking something off the car, because then your car is done for high speed for the rest of the night.
Yeah, that's what I started to say a little while ago. He's got this thing wound back up. He's reeling them back in right now. He's getting right to them and real close. But he's got to be careful again. You know, we talked about patience at this racetrack. Look, you got to be patient, but you can't get too patient in this place because you're flying around it. You got to be aggressively patient here because we're circling this track so quick.
We're down to 17-second laps at 159 miles per factor. In fact, as you see right now, Sam Hornish has just run a 16.9-second lap. That is the fastest of this race so far. We're going to go side by side. Hornish is still leading by over a half a second over Dario Franchitti. Back here at Richmond International Raceway, we've completed, as you can see, we're working lap 187 of 250. The laps are flying by, as it is Sam Hornish, Dario Franchitti, Elio Castroneves running in third, and he has our no-hassle fast lap, courtesy of Capital One. That was back in lap number 5 at 161.450. And there you saw right there, there's a battle for the lead. Dario Franchitti tried the outside. Could not make it stick. And this was set up, Rusty, by lap traffic in front of Sam Hornish.
Yeah, it was set up by lap traffic. I could see Sam running up on a couple cars and have to get out of the throttle, let Franchitti run up on it. But with that said, guys, right now, Hornish just can't leave Franchitti. Franchitti's been really strong in this last run.
Well, the car in front of the number 6, the Marlboro car, right now is watch 27. Excuse me. Oh, I can't believe they get that done again. But what's ended up happening right now, the 55 of Kotski Masura, which is just in front of the Marlboro car of Sam Hornish Jr., is getting the blue flag each time down the front stretch. And now he obeys the blue flag and moves over and lets the Hornish car go through along with the 27 of Dario Franchitti.
Let's go back and show you a little bit earlier what happened when Kotski Matsura and Sam Hornish right there. And that, look at how quickly Sam had to get on the binders.
Oh, these cars, they accelerate fast. And boy, they're carrying so much speed through the corner that reminds me of some midget car race. You know, some midgets and sprint cars accelerate so much. These cars look like the same here at Richmond. They're carrying so much corner speed.
And that is Danica Patrick, and she is now going 4 laps down. It has not been a good night for Ray Hall Letterman. None of their cars, 2 of them. Well, Danica is running in 15th. Buddy is in 13th. Jeff Simmons is dead last. He crashed out on lap number 64. Meanwhile, up front, Sam Hornish Jr.'s lead is now 0.4 of a second. There is the battle for the lead. Both cars running about 152, and that's because of the traffic that they're in.
Yeah, they just got stuck in some traffic. These cars, like I said, have been up to 161 miles per hour, like we saw Elio Castroneves a little while ago. So the lap times are going all over the place right now just because of all this lap traffic.
Moving back to the battle for third, that's Elio Castroneves and Marco Andretti with Vitor Mira right behind Marco. Let's get more from Jamie Little.
Well, guys, Roger Penske is so busy right now. He's on the radio with Sam Hornish Jr., his driver, talking him through this traffic. As we saw, he was being held up by Kotski Matsura, and Roger Penske's right behind us, and he was very upset about Kotski blocking. Kotski moved over, and he's telling his driver, great job, way to hang in there.
Things happen so fast at this track.
We know if there's ever one race that Roger wants to win, it's right here in Richmond, Virginia, because this is the home for Philip Morris, his sponsor, Marlboro, on the side of that car. So he really wants to win this race. He's got a lot of guests here tonight, and you can see he's a little tense, he's a little upset with all this traffic, but I tell you, the way old Hornish is running, he just might get that thing for Roger.
And let me correct myself on one thing. I think I said Danica was now 4 laps down. That put her 3 laps down. Either way, it's still a dismal night, but we want to be accurate. Elio has opened up a bit of a margin over Marco Andretti and Vitor Mira, about 0.6 of a second. So he's giving himself a little bit of breathing space. We're going to go side by side. The action continues. We are 50 laps away from the checkered flag. Does Sam Hornish hold on, or does Franchitti get around him? Back here at Richmond International Raceway, nothing has changed since we went to the break. You saw it all on side by side. Everybody sort of in lockstep right now. Sam Hornish has opened up a 2.2 second lead over Dario Franchitti. And there is Sam motoring, and he has led the most laps here as we are working down with 45 to go. We drop back to Dario Franchitti, who is, as we said, now 2.5 seconds behind. Let's get more from Jack Arute.
I asked John Anderson, the crew chief for Dario Franchitti's car, if this car had anything for the leader, Sam Hornish. He said, only in traffic. And as you guys noticed, when Sam Hornish gets out the free air, Franchitti loses valuable ground. But there's plenty of time left to get these cars back in traffic. They've told Franchitti, who, oh, by the way, has said absolutely nothing the entire night back to his crew. He's concentrating on this short oval, but they need traffic to make a stab at the leader.
Now, while you were pointing that out, Jack, we can tell you that a little bit further back, Scott Sharp has gotten around Dan Weldon for 6th position. So Sharp, who looked very strong early in the race, there he is. He is still trying to fight his way back up. And overall, he is about 7 seconds now behind Sam Hornish. So with 41 laps to go, either he's got to find something or he needs another yellow. And it looks like, yeah, Rusty, you noticed something.
Yeah, he's got a lot of steering input in the car. Look, he's got that wheel really cranked around. He's got a tight car, the front end sliding on it. It looks to me, Scott.
He certainly didn't have that much turning angle in it when we saw at the very beginning of the race. And watch as he turns in through the turn, his right hand all the time is just actually starting to move up towards the 12 o'clock area, and that's what we always look for as a driver. You can feel it in the steering wheel, and you can actually see it if you're watching yourself also.
And that is Scott going around the lap traffic of Felipe Giafoni. Giafoni running in 17th position. Let's go back to this one more time.
Now, as we ride along here, we're just going to hang out here for a second, and I want you just to watch his right hand to see how much it turns. He's going to take his hand and move it down a little bit further on the steering wheel because he has to be able to turn it in enough. He's also reaching for a gear. And usually what ends up happening is you take your hands from the basically 9 and 3, and your right hand might go up towards about 1 o'clock, but he's actually moving his hand far enough down on the wheel, down to 5, to get it to make the turn all the way through.
So let's go back to the battle for 4th right now. Marco Andretti and Vitor Meira. 19-year-old rookie came oh so close to winning the Indianapolis 500 back in the month of May. Still steaming over the fact that he finished 2nd. Let's get more from Jack Arute.
Guys, forgive Michael Andretti with all the cars that make up Andretti Green Racing that he's only concerned about one, and that's his 19-year-old son Marco. As Jerry Funch told you, making his short oval debut. But I asked Michael what he thinks of some of the other cars that are driving. He said, you're going to have to ask those guys. Right now, I'm just listening to my son. Jerry?
I cannot say enough about how bad this car was in the final practice session today. Marco Andretti climbed out of the car, his eyes as big as silver dollars, saying this car is just a handful. But Kyle Moyer went back to the rig and sat down with their engineer, Eddie Jones, and said, Marco, tell me, when were you the most comfortable all weekend? He said, yesterday, Friday at noon. He said, okay, we're going to get the setup from Friday at noon, put it back on the car, and you'll be fine tonight. What a great job for Kyle Moyer to make the young man feel comfortable, and what a great run Marco is having here tonight.
He has been in the top 5 since the start of the race, and he is closing in on Helio Castroneves, and Vitor Meira is right behind him. Those 3 cars are for position. Meanwhile, up front, Sam Hornish continues to lead by 2.1 seconds over Dario Franchitti as the laps continue to wind down here at Richmond. Back here at Richmond International Raceway, you're looking at Sam Hornish, the race leader. He has led every lap since lap 39. Team Penske has led every single lap of the race, courtesy of Helio Castroneves. They're running 1st and 3rd right now. And we talk about the battle this season all along between Penske and Ganassi. The Ganassi cars are running 6th and 8th right now. Weldon in 6th and Dixon in 8th.
I'll tell you, it was, definitely Team Penske's got him hooked up tonight, especially Hornish. And Weldon and Dixon, they just missed it a little bit. These guys are still running great, but they just missed it a bit.
Boy, a lot of lap traffic there. You go on board with Marco Andretti. Oh, look out, Marco!
Vitor Mira will take advantage of that. Marco driving the car to the edge and just a little bit over. Now he's got to get his heart rate back down below 200, guys.
All right, he just went for the button. What is he doing there,
That's
Scott?
the weight jacker. He's trying to make the car handle a little bit better. He probably had the car too much on the edge. Electronic weight jacker button on the steering wheel so he can change the weight from the left to the right of the car, whatever he needs to do to make the car handle a little bit better. Car was very loose there, Rusty. He just started to want the back end, started to come around on himself.
Well, he's got that button. He's tapping it just a little bit, Scott.
I'd be holding it.
As loose as that son of a gun was, I'd be holding that.
Yep.
I'd be holding it wide open.
Well, the guy that had a ringside seat was right behind him, Dan Weldon. Jack, you've got more?
Yeah, guys, there's pressure on Dan Weldon because Chip Ganassi just told me they are going to have to bring this blue liveried car onto pit road. They didn't get enough fuel in the last time to complete the advertised distance. Chip just shook his head. Right now, guys, he's not a happy camper.
How much more bad luck can this driver have? I mean, he has led so many laps, 345 this year, and how many times has he come up short by one glitch or another?
Yeah, when it rains, it pours. And I'll tell you, they left the lug nuts loose a couple races ago. Now they're short on fuel. I can't really say it's Weldon's fault. He's got a great team because they got the car really running fast, but got to quit making mistakes right now.
This is the battle for third. Castroneves in front of Vitor Mira. While we watch this, let's take you back to that very scary moment for Marco Andretti. There is Marco right now trying to get back into that battle. Here we go.
Watch the steering wheel, watch his hands. He starts to come out, put the power down. Remember, no traction control this year on these cars, so he squeezes the throttle as he comes out, and the back end wants to step around. And that 19-year-old with all that experience, youth and exuberance, I'll tell you, just grab that thing and keeps on going.
Well, he's not scared of anything, that's for sure, but it looked like he had a lot of wheel put into it. Looks like he had a big push, and it stuck, and the rear end came around on it, Scott. And that's what it appeared like to me, at least.
And while we were showing the replay, unfortunately, here goes Marco around Elio. Mira had already gotten by him, so Elio is losing ground quickly. Something is wrong with the number 3 car. Oh, man, is it twitching.
Elio, we're going to
See,
Not to worry about it. 15 laps, up to you.
that's Tim Cindric. Remember I said before about the tires going off just a little bit? We're wondering if that might be the case.
So we just heard it, the air pressure, the reporting's down to 16 PSI. That's pretty doggone low on the air pressure, so.
14. So he's got a tire leak because these tires are usually running somewhere in the mid to high 30s on the left-hand side and low 40s on the right-hand side. So that sounds like he's got a slow puncture.
This instrumentation they have right now, the telemetry can tell them where the air pressure is. It's a cool tool. It's expensive to have it, but they know what's going on right now.
Marco Andretti, you're on board with him. He is in 4th place right now, and that is Kosuke Matsuura in front of him. That is lap traffic. It is Hornish, Franchitti, Mira, and Marco Andretti. That's your top 4. Dan Weldon's now moved up to 5th. Castroneves has dropped back to 7th. And there is Marco with Dan Weldon closing. Is this a little poetic justice maybe for Dan Weldon? I don't know.
Do you remember, think he wants to get by?
Absolutely. Well, there was the call on Weldon to pit, so he's going to have to peel off and come in. So another tough break for Dan Weldon. Not enough fuel, and he's in pit lane, Jack.
And this is not what you wanted, and this will be just a time stop. Remember, the fuel flow is by gravity. It comes in through a hose. There's a wooden stick that will count it off. They make the connection. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, the count. Enough fuel to go. Guys, this shouldn't have happened.
No, and it goes back to just the last races. There is Sam Hornish getting around Felipe Giafoni. I mean, it was a lug nut situation in the pits that cost him the win there. And it was, we go on board with Weldon. And we can tell you he is now in the 11th position and is a lap down.
Go to fuel position 2.
Fuel position 2. Straight up is 100% fuel. full horsepower. Fuel position 2 might be just a little bit lean. We're not sure. Every team has their own settings, but he should have enough fuel in there to really run just about his maximum horsepower.
You know, that confuses me just a little bit here because fuel position 8, I believe, isn't it, Scott? Isn't fuel position 8 full rich? Then you go 7 leaner. I know full lean is only 12%, they tell us, so it's not a big difference in horsepower.
Well, every team does do it differently. Usually 1 is actually maximum fuel, and then the higher the number, the leaner.
So right now, there's Elio going a lap down. So Sam Hornish Jr. puts Elio Castro, which means we have 7 cars on the lead lap. And only 5 laps to go this time by. Elio's just out there hanging on. This is going to affect the points. Castroneves has dropped to 8th. There is Dario Franchitti, you heard, +2. That means Hornish has a 2-second lead. Now, will Elio try and hold up? I don't think it makes any difference. Elio could let him go right now, and he does.
Elio's just holding on right now, trying to just to get it to the end of the race right now.
Oh, but here comes Mira. Mira goes below the yellow line and takes over the position. So Franchitti gets snookered by Vitor Mira. Oh, and a tire goes down on Elio, and the yellow is out with 4 to go.
4-5 cars coming inside.
Well, it just goes to show you the telemetry's dead right. It showed the right rear tire down to 16 pounds, 14 pounds, and falling there. Elio's falling back, and it caught him. But Tim Cindric knew it was happening.
Well, Rusty, I got to tell you something, because we didn't know what tire it was. I thought maybe it was a left front tire, which is not so important on the race car. But when it's the right rear, the one that takes all the load here, I can't believe as a driver you'd actually go out there and chance that.
You would have thought that car would have been much, much looser than it really was. You could tell he was so long. We were looking at the left side tires, and you couldn't tell them they were down as you were talking.
Guys, he had a 22-point lead coming into this race in the championship. He is going to probably lose that lead for sure unless something drastic happens here. As trying to do the quick math in my head, it just depends on where everybody else, Weldon, Dixon, and Hornish, end up. But right now, Castroneves is 11th place.
Well, you hear Tim Cindric say, stay out, stay out. We've only got 2 laps left in this race as a white flag just came out. Looks like it's going to end under caution. And no way to pit right now. The left front wheel's not even turning. It's not even touching the ground. The right rear's, look at this car. It's on the right front. It's on the left rear. It's hanging on the side pod on the right rear. He's just limping his baby around.
This is usually not seen in open wheel racing. This reminds me of your guys' car.
It reminds me of some sprint car racing, doesn't it, right now? I mean, it's unreal what it's doing.
And guys, he's staying out there because he doesn't want to lose any more points.
Yes.
Under yellow, he can motor around. He can stay there. I mean, here we come around. This time it will be for the checkered flag, as we will be waiting for Sam Hornish right there to pick up his 2nd win this year.
You are the man. You get that 500 back now.
Well, Penske's really happy that, like we talked earlier, it's Philip Morris's hometown. He's won the race for him. Everybody's cheering. He dominated tonight. It was just an unbelievable driving experience Hornish put through tonight, guys.
Sam, the first driver ever to repeat here at Richmond International Raceway. It is his 16th career win and is definitely going to help him in the points championship chase. Castroneves, we are now told, because Weldon and Dixon finished 9th and 10th, Castroneves is going to survive by 4 points over his teammate, Sam Hornish. So that is the quick math. So it was a good night for Team Penske in more ways than one. We'll go side by side and talk to the winner when we come back. Sam Hornish wins for the 2nd time this year. Let's take you back to Indy. Remember the final practice on Carb Day when he hit the wall, came back to win the race in dramatic fashion? Well, guess what happened here just earlier this week? Sam got into the wall here in Richmond, and they had to do some work on the car. They did not have to bring out the spare, and here he is again, 2nd time this year, taking the checkered flags. I don't think the team's going to mind him bending up the sheet metal as long as he goes out and wins, guys.
Well, the team won't mind at all as long as he gets victory. Hey, it's whatever it takes to get it done. I'll tell you what a whale of a job he did tonight.
So there he is climbing out of the cockpit, and I'll tell you, he looks a little tired, and rightfully so. We talk about the 5 Gs that you sustain here, and that's for 500 corners when you really get down to it. 250 laps, 2 ends of the track. It's quite a strain. But I guarantee you, Sam Hornish underneath that helmet, very happy as he is pulled within 4 points of the leader, Helio Castroneves. And Jamie, you're right there.
That's right. He has climbed out the first repeat winner. Sam, we're talking about there's something in correlation here with crash in practice, come back and win the race. Let me ask you this. Is it true this is your road course car?
Yeah, this is the car we ran at Watkins Glen, and with so many races in a row here, we got to really be careful with what cars we got. Unfortunately, we crashed it, but maybe we'll take this one to Milwaukee and see how it does there. It's been a great weekend for us. The Firestone tires are great. We ran over 100 laps there on the end with them, and they were just as good at the end as what they were at the beginning. Really happy to get out of here with a win for Marlboro, right in the backyard of Philip Morris, and also with I guess I heard it was Honda's 100th win, so that was great too. But Team Penske did an awesome job for me in the pits. That's where we, you got to keep the lead here, and it's hard to pass out on the track, and they just did everything they needed to do.
Sam, you dominated from lap 39. Take us through some of those moments, though. We saw Roger Penske all fired up and frustrated and on the radio with you the whole time. Take us through it.
Well, he was probably fired up and frustrated a little bit because I was on the other end. I just told him, I said, hey, we got to get around these guys. They can't, be drag racing us into the corner. Be ashamed to spin while you're leading the race. But the car was great, and we had a couple guys that were hard to get around, but other ones they did a great job letting us go, and it was a heck of a night out there, and just glad that we could win it.
Sam, most team owners are not in the ear of their driver. What is it like to have Roger Penske calling your race?
I learned last year, a couple times here in Indy, both times I crashed out of the race, and I went against what Roger was telling me to do, and I learned from that point on, I'm just going to listen to Roger. Whatever he says, I'm going to do it. And he tells me to go out there and run it into the wall, I'll do it. But it's been a great pleasure to be able to work with Roger and this whole team, and I look forward to coming back and hopefully winning some more races with them.
Well, Sam Hornish Jr. listened to his boss Roger Penske tonight, and he told him, job well done. Guys?
All right, thank you. We're down here with Dario Franchitti and his lovely wife, Ashley Judd. As Dario, despite finishing third, Dario, a little bit upset when you climbed out of the car. What was the confusion there with Vitor got by with a lap to go?
No, I wasn't upset about that. Vitor did a great job and was much quicker than I was, and I got held up in traffic. He made a good move. What was upsetting me was that Sam was getting the blue flag to help him through traffic, and according to it would appear that the Canadian Club Klein Tools car is invisible to the flagman. There's no blue flags all night, no help at all from the flag stand. The back markers were actually doing more to help me than the guy up there was. So I'm upset about that, but a great result for the team. Certainly better than Texas. Great work in the pits. I think we made 4 stops up on that last pit stop. Made a good start, and we're pretty happy with the night.
How about some little tire rubbing with a former teammate early on? You guys were bouncing off each other out there going into the corner.
Yeah, Danny was trying to get the corner from me, but I wasn't giving it up. Dan's one of those guys, kind of like Hornish, Tony, all those guys. You can race with them and absolutely inch perfect, and you can have fun like that. I had a great time here at Richmond. As I say, apart from my problem with the flag stand, I've had a wonderful time and really enjoy racing here.
A great run, Dario.
Thank you.
Jack Arute?
Well, you talk about a bold move, and you set it up early in the day, Doc, when you said you've got to run a bull ring like a bull. Vitor Meira, tell me about that pass on Dario Franchitti.
Was good. First, I have to thank Dario. He could have chopped me out, and he was really professional there and letting me room to do that. And well, the Panther car. I never drove a car as good as this one on 1 mile oval. I have to thank the crew to give me such a good car and being able to do these great movements.
Can you explain to everyone what the sense of urgency is for this team running without sponsorship on the side pods of this car?
Well, it's important. The teams that are fully funded have much more resources than us and everything. It shows how competent we are. It shows how much will for race. Everybody that is here at the Panther family, it's here because they want to race and they want to win. It's not a work. It's just because they love it, and it shows on the track.
Guys, I think they call that passion.
I tell you what, I wish some rich guy get in his pocket and sponsor that kid. That's a good kid, a great speech. He knows how to drive the car. It bewilders me, Marty and Scott, why they don't have a sponsor. They got a great car. He's a good speaker. He drives hard. Hey, I challenge these cats. Dig deep. Sponsor this dude.
All right, let's take a look. You want to be his agent?
Yeah, I've been pushing for him all year long. It bothers me that somebody's not getting in there and helping this guy. He's incredible, man. He's a great find.
It's the 6th time he has finished second. He has yet to win. He's just one spot shy as we take a look at the final results here. Only 6 cars on the lead lap as you go down. We do have a new race record tonight, 129.5 miles an hour. The old record, 114.5. We had just 3 yellows. The record before that for fewest was 5, so that gives you an idea. And you can see on down through that from a long time or a long night for quite a few of those cars as the celebration continues down in Victory Lane with Sam Hornish. Stay with us. Back here at Richmond International Raceway, let's check in with Jamie Little.
Well, thanks, Marty. We caught up to the winning owner, Roger Penske. We talked to Sam Hornish about you a little while ago. Roger, you know, we talk about most team owners and how they don't get on the radio and they don't call a race. Why did you decide to do that with your driver, Sam Hornish?
Well, I've been doing that all along. I think if they throw me off the pit box, I might get out of this sport. But this is a lot of fun. It keeps me motivated. And certainly, you know, I got a chance to work with Sam since he joined the team, and he just done a great job.
How could you sum up a race like tonight, the range of emotions we watched you go through?
Well, I was a little uptight there when we were coming up on lap traffic because, you know, it's so easy to make a mistake. The track is slippery on the outside lane. But, you know, Sam really has gained some patience. You saw it at Indy and certainly did it here. But, you know, Eller had a great car. But the whole racetrack was fast, and I think it was really accident-free, which is most important. But we love Richmond. You know, it's our home track for Philip Morris. And, you know, Rusty won a lot of races here, so we're just trying to do what he's done.
Nice plug for Rusty Wallace there. Dr. Punch.
And what a nice job for 19-year-old Marco Andretti. Never been on a track shorter than 1 mile. And Marco, what an outstanding effort. But with 20 laps to go, everyone grabbed their chest. Kyle Moyer and company, when you had that big wiggle off of turn 2, what happened?
I had a wiggle off of turn 2. It was a big one. You know, I definitely bigger than the one at Indy for sure. Definitely lucky to save that. I mean, I think it was easier to save, but then I had to watch the wall as well. So, you know, again, I had a lucky one. But, you know, the guys did a great job all night. You know, the NYSC car was looking good there in the second stint, but we lost a few positions in the last pit stop. So it was a bummer.
Chip off the old block. Marco Andretti getting home a top 5 finish in his first ever short track race in an Indycar. Guys?
He was never out of the top 5 all night here at Richmond International Raceway. Let's take a look at the points championship, show you how things have changed. It's tightened up quite a bit. Elio Castroneves leads Sam Hornish by 4. Scott Dixon, Dan Weldon both drop a position, but they're still only 34 back to Dan Weldon. The big gainer, Dario Franchitti. He ends up in the number 8 spot now, up from the 11th position. So that's going to do it for us here, and we're halfway through the season. We'll see you next Sunday, July 2nd, as the IRL Series heads to Kansas for the Kansas Indy 300 on ABC TV. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Coming up next, bonus coverage of qualifying for the NHRA O'Reilly Midwest Nationals. Congratulations to our winner, Sam Hornish Jr., and we'll see you next week when we hit the 1.5 mile oval at Kansas. Good night, everybody.